Welcome back to the Chattable Podcast, where I enrich vocabulary and speak English with pride.
It is great to be here.
So, imagine a rookie chef, and she completely destroys 100 years of rigid culinary tradition in her city, all with just one menu.
Oh, wow.
Right. Or, picture an athlete. His entire season of training is just wiped out in a single second.
Yeah, life is full of those massive leaps forward and, of course, those sudden frustrating steps backward.
Exactly. So my goal for this episode is to explore two very common, highly visual English idioms. Native speakers use these all the time to describe that unpredictable motion of life.
It's a really fascinating area of language. I mean, native speakers rely heavily on visual idioms because they instantly paint a shared picture.
Right.
You aren't just communicating a boring fact, you're actually communicating a feeling and a physical motion.
And that brings up a really important point for you, our listener. If you truly want to master English vocabulary, well, you shouldn't just memorize definitions from a dictionary.
No, definitely not.
Because memorizing a flat, text-based definition is just boring. And frankly, it's really easy to forget.
It really is. To sound completely natural, you need to visualize the physical actions behind the phrases. You need to see the movement happening in your mind.
Let's put that strategy to work right now. Our very first phrase is to turn something on its head.
Oh, this is one of the most powerful expressions in English for describing change.
It really is.
Let's establish the core concept first. To turn something on its head means to completely reverse a concept, or a system, or a traditional way of doing things.
So we're talking about a radical shift here, not just a tiny, small update.
Right. When you turn a system on its head, you are essentially proving the old way wrong.
You're bringing a totally fresh perspective.
Exactly. You are demonstrating that the established rules are just suddenly outdated.
So I want to focus on that physical visualization we just talked about.
Sure.
Because I know in the past, people might have imagined like physically flipping a heavy stone statue upside down.
Yeah, that's a common one. But that always felt a bit overly dramatic to me. What's a better, maybe more accurate image we can keep in our minds?
Well, think about a pyramid or an established hierarchy.
Okay, a pyramid.
Imagine a solid, rigid triangle resting on a table. The wide base at the bottom, well, that represents the old traditional foundation.
Got it.
And the point at the very top represents the strict rules, or maybe the boss in charge. Power and tradition flow from the top down.
I can picture that perfectly. Everything is very orderly and structured.
Right. Now imagine physically picking up that rigid pyramid and you flip it entirely upside down.
Oh, wow.
You balance it on its narrow point.
Yeah.
The wide base, the foundation that used to hold everything up, is now flipped high into the air.
You've literally inverted the whole structure. The bottom is now the top.
Exactly. You've completely reversed its normal position.
Sure.
So the old rules no longer apply.
Because the gravity of the whole situation has shifted.
Yes. And in everyday conversation, we take this physical image of inverting a pyramid and we apply it to abstract ideas.
Like businesses or art. Right. When a brilliant new concept flips an entire industry upside down, we say it turned the industry on its head.
Let's anchor this with a real-world scenario. That way we can see how native speakers actually use it.
Good idea.
One of the examples from our notes revolves around a chef, and I think it perfectly illustrates this idea of reversing a hierarchy.
The restaurant scene is actually a great place to observe this phrase in action.
It really is. So imagine a city with a very traditional, very strict restaurant culture.
Okay.
For decades, the fine dining scene has operated the exact same way. White tablecloths, quiet dining rooms, classic recipes passed down for generations.
Right. That's our solid pyramid sitting on the table. The traditional hierarchy is firmly in place.
But then a young chef decides to open a new spot. And she ignores all the old rules.
She just throws them out.
Totally. Instead of white tablecloths, she serves food in a loud, casual setting. Instead of classic recipes, she creates a completely unique menu with unexpected flavors.
And crucially, the customers have to love it for the phrase to work.
Oh, they absolutely love it. There's a line out the door every single night.
Wow.
Because of her wild success, this young chef has completely turned the traditional restaurant scene on its head.
That's perfect. The old way of cooking and serving is suddenly viewed as boring or outdated.
Right. The older traditional cooks realize they can't just keep doing things the same way. They're forced to rethink their own classic dishes just to stay relevant.
She inverted the rules of success in their city. That is a flawless use of the idiom.
Thanks. Now, while we see this in culture, we probably see it most frequently in business and technologies, right?
Definitely. Applying that same concept of a radical shift to an office environment is very common.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's think about a manager named Maya. Maya runs a busy corporate team. For years, their traditional system has relied on manual data entry.
Oh, that sounds tedious.
It is. Every single week, her team spends 20 hours just typing numbers into spreadsheets by hand.
Right, so the traditional workflow is basically humans acting like robots.
It's slow and frustrating. But then Maya researches a new solution. She introduces a highly advanced automated software to her department.
Okay, I see where this is going.
This software instantly reads the data. It organizes the spreadsheets in seconds. Suddenly, Maya's automated software turns the team's entire workflow on its head.
Because instead of the humans serving the data, the technology is now serving the humans. The hierarchy is inverted.
Precisely. The old painful system is gone. By turning the workflow on its head, she eliminated hours of manual labor.
She completely changed the daily reality of her team. Okay, here's where we need to establish some guardrails for you, our listener.
Good idea.
I want to play devil's advocate for a moment to test the boundaries of this phrase, because it sounds like it could be easily misused.
It certainly can be. Knowing when not to use a phrase is just as important.
Let's go back to the restaurant idea. So I own a small local cafe. I look at my printed paper menus, and I decide I don't really like the design.
Yeah.
So I update the font. Or maybe I decide to change my opening hours from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m.
All right.
I've changed my system. I'm doing things a new way. Did I turn the local cafe scene on its head?
You absolutely did not.
Why not? I changed the way my business operates.
Well, you made an adjustment, yes, but you didn't introduce a radical shift. Changing a font doesn't force anyone else in the city to rethink breakfast.
Ah, okay. So using the phrase for a small tweak feels wrong.
If you use this powerful idiom for a minor adjustment, you'll sound very strange to a native speaker. It makes it seem like you are wildly exaggerating a very boring story.
That makes sense. The change has to be massive.
Exactly. It must prove the old way wrong and completely invert the pyramid.
That distinction really clears things up. So turning things on their head is all about making a giant positive leap forward.
Right.
It's about radical innovation pushing us into the future. But progress isn't always a straight line.
No, it definitely isn't.
Sometimes the unexpected completely halts your momentum and even pushes you backward.
Which is a very different type of physical motion. And it requires a very different type of visual vocabulary.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second phrase we are tackling for this episode. The phrase is to set someone back.
This is an incredibly practical, everyday phrase. You will hear it used constantly in both casual and professional settings.
So what does it mean exactly?
To set someone back means to delay a person's progress. It causes a temporary reversal in their plans, basically stopping their forward momentum.
Most commonly, I hear this used when an event costs a person a significant amount of unexpected time or an unexpected chunk of money.
That's the most frequent context. And just like our first phrase, we need a strong physical visualization for this one.
How should I be picturing a setback?
Think of it like playing a classic board game. You're sitting at the table, you roll the dice, and you're moving your game piece step by step across the board.
Okay, you're heading directly toward the finish line.
You're making great progress. Everything is going according to plan. But then you roll the dice and land on a penalty square.
Oh, no.
You draw a card that says move backward 5 steps.
That is a universally frustrating feeling.
It really is. Suddenly, you've hit an obstacle. You are forced to physically pick up your piece and move it backward.
Away from the finish line.
Exactly. You have been set back from your ultimate goal. You can also imagine running a foot race on a track.
Like sprinting forward.
Yes, sprinting forward. But a sudden obstacle drops in your lane, you crash into it and stumble backward.
You didn't just stop, you actually lost ground. You have to run those same steps all over again just to get back to where you were.
That's the core feeling of the idiom. In our daily lives, we obviously aren't moving pieces on a giant board game.
No, usually not.
But we do have career timelines and fitness goals and savings targets.
Right.
An unexpected problem pushes you away from your timeline. It forces you to spend extra time or money just to recover your previous position.
Let's ground this with a financial scenario, because money is where we feel these setbacks most sharply. Let's look at a budget example.
This is a highly relatable situation. Let's imagine a woman named Chloe who has a strict savings plan for a summer vacation.
Okay, she's meticulously putting a portion of her paycheck into a savings account every single week.
Right. She's moving her game piece forward on the board, getting closer and closer to that beach trip.
But one morning, while driving to work, she hears a terrible grinding noise. Her car engine breaks down on the highway.
Which is a massive, stressful obstacle.
Totally. She manages to get it to a mechanic. And the mechanic inspects the engine and informs Chloe that the repair will cost $500.
Because she desperately needs her car to commute to work, she has no choice but to authorize the repair.
Which means that money has to come from somewhere, and it's coming straight out of her vacation fund.
Exactly. That unexpected engine trouble set Chloe back by $500.
It completely drained her momentum.
It did. She was physically pushed backward on her financial timeline. Now she has to spend several weeks saving up again just to reach the exact dollar amount she had before.
She was set back. Now, this concept of losing ground doesn't just apply to money. It applies heavily to physical effort and time as well, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Let's look at an athlete named Lucas.
Okay, what happened to Lucas?
Lucas plays on a competitive sports team. He has spent the entire off-season training, lifting weights, and getting into perfect physical shape.
He's sprinting toward the finish line, totally prepared. The season opener is just days away.
But during the very final practice session, he lands awkwardly during a drill and severely breaks his ankle.
Oh, that is a devastating penalty card.
Breaking his ankle in that final practice really set Lucas back in his training. It's not just a delay in his schedule. His progress is totally reversed.
Because he can't exercise while he heals.
Exactly. He's actively losing the muscle and fitness he worked so hard to build.
Right. The injury actually forced him to miss the first 3 matches of the season.
The broken ankle set him back by several weeks. He has to wait for the bone to heal and then undergo physical therapy to rebuild his strength.
Just to get back to the baseline fitness level he had before the fall.
It's the definition of a temporary reversal in plans.
Now, just like with our first idiom, I need to ask a practical question to test the boundaries here.
Testing the boundaries is crucial for sounding natural. What's the scenario?
Let's talk about something incredibly mundane. Paying my monthly rent.
Okay.
I live in an apartment. I pay my rent today by sending the money to my landlord. When I check my bank account a few minutes later, my balance has gone down.
That is indeed how rent works.
Right, so technically, my finances moved backward. I have less money today than I did yesterday. Did paying my rent just set me back?
No, it definitely did not.
But I lost money. It feels like I'm moving away from my savings goals.
It might feel painful, but expected and planned expenses never count as a setback.
Oh, I see.
You cannot use this phrase for something you already anticipated.
Because the element of surprise is a mandatory part of the idiom.
Exactly. You signed a lease, you knew the rent was due on the first of the month, and you built it into your budget.
It wasn't an unexpected obstacle crashing into my lane.
Right. It didn't interfere with your forward momentum. It was simply the standard cost of operating your life.
So it has to be a surprise penalty, like the broken car engine and the broken ankle.
Correct. The event must be an unexpected interference.
Okay, well, what if an unexpected event actually helps me?
What do you mean?
Let's say I'm at the airport waiting for a flight. Suddenly, a terrible storm rolls in, and my flight is delayed by 4 long hours.
A weather delay is a classic unexpected obstacle.
But wait, here's the twist. While I'm stuck sitting in the airport terminal for those 4 hours, I start chatting with the woman sitting next to me.
Okay.
It turns out she's a CEO. And after a great conversation, she offers me my absolute dream job with a massive salary increase. I accept it on the spot. Did the storm set me back?
In the grand context of your life and career, no, it did not set you back.
Even though the storm is a completely surprise obstacle that ruined my original timeline.
Exactly. You cannot use this idiom if an event actually accelerates your progress. The delay was a surprise, but it ultimately propelled you forward.
Oh, that makes sense.
You might say the storm set back your arrival time in the new city by 4 hours, but you would never say the storm set back your career.
Because the core meaning of the phrase requires a negative interference to your overall progress.
That is a brilliant distinction. Precision with these phrases is what separates a good English speaker from a masterful one.
Let's do a quick summary of the visual vocabulary we covered. We really want you, the listener, to see these concepts in your mind's eye.
Visualizing the action is the ultimate key to memory.
First, we explored the idea of flipping a rigid pyramid completely upside down, turning the traditional hierarchy on its point.
That is the physical image for turning something on its head. You use it for radical innovation, where an old system is replaced by a fresh perspective.
Like a young chef completely altering a city's restaurant culture, or automated software completely redefining a team's workflow.
Right. And second, we imagine playing a board game, drawing a penalty card, and being forced to move your game piece 5 steps backward.
Physically picking it up and moving it away from the finish line.
That's our image for setting someone back. We use it for unexpected delays and surprise costs that temporarily ruin our plans.
Such as unexpected car repairs draining a vacation fund, or a sudden sports injury forcing an athlete to rebuild their physical strength.
Relying on these visual images is going to fundamentally change how you speak. By visualizing the physical movements, you aren't just reciting a textbook.
You're describing a real-world scenario.
That is the best way to sound completely natural and confident in English conversation.
And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with an interesting scenario to ponder on your own.
I love these kinds of thoughts.
We've talked about these concepts in isolation, but they often collide in the real world. Think about this.
Okay.
If a brilliant new invention comes along and completely turns an entire industry on its head, does that exact same invention inevitably set back the people who stubbornly refuse to adapt to it?
Oh, wow. That is a profound question. Innovation for one person often creates a massive obstacle for another.
It's definitely something to chew on as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining our conversation for this episode. Keep visualizing those words in motion, and we will talk to you next time.